Hello VC, this is another Vinyl Finds video. I had to go to Long Beach on Sunday for my wife to run some errands, so I had a few hours and thought I would hit up some Long Beach record shops. I wasn't in the mood to take any video, so the photos you're gonna see are from the business's Google pages. I'll also show some wall finds that I've gotten in the past 2 weeks over from Record Safari. First stop was Record Box. Very small place. I met the owner, he was nice. It didn't have anything good on the walls for me. It had a good jazz selection. It had some international. It didn't have any psych at all. They did have a bathroom. Nice neighborhood. It's close to Footprints music, which is I'm going to talk about next. There was a Dawn and the Good Times original 66 compilation on the actually in the bin, but they wanted $70 for it, and that's like a $40 or $50 record, so I passed. Then I moved on over to Fingerprints Music. This is just right one block from Record Box. It's a nice big shop. It's right next to a coffee shop. Unfortunately, they mix up their new releases with the used releases, so it takes a long time to go through all their bins. They had lots of vinyl. They had lots of CDs, lots of DVDs. It was really big. I heard they're moving, but there was really nothing for me. The wall wasn't that great. The new arrival bins didn't have anything I was too interested in, so I didn't buy anything from Fingerprints Records. The next stop was Bagatelle Records. I used to go there 15 years ago when I lived in Redondo Beach. The store's been around for years, but I haven't been there in that long. This is a store that I've been told I will find what I'm interested in, which is a packed wall with really good items. There's rock, psych, grunge, and some good jazz. It's supposed to be the store for me. Well, it turns out they're closed on Sundays. There was a guy standing by the doorway who told me that they only take cash. They don't take credit cards anymore. So being closed on Sunday, not taking credit cards anymore, that's 2 strikes against them. I do want to go though, because the guy who used to run the place was a very nice guy. So I've been to 3 record stores, struck out on both. I got in the car and I drove over to Toxic Toast Records. They seemed to specialize in punk. I looked them up on Instagram. They had lots of Japanese pressings, so punk and Japanese pressings. I talked with the owner, Andy. He was pretty young and very friendly. He had said that he used to live in Japan for 7 years and dated someone in Japan. He was fluent in Japanese, so he goes back and forth there all the time. So he had lots of Japanese pressings, and the prices were really, really good. He's got lots of city pop, which he had said his whole front wall was city pop. I don't really know what city pop is. I should have asked him while I was talking to him, but I just pretended I knew what he was talking about with city pop. Lots of classic rock, new wave titles, punk, goth. It was a good store. After I finished talking with Andy, I went and saw on the wall this Presidents 2. It's the Presidents of the USA, which is a grunge band from Seattle, or more indie rock band from Seattle. This is their 2nd album. These guys started in 1993, and the drummer, Jason, what was his name? Jason Flynn, I forgot his name, but he used to be in the psych band, the grunge psych band Love Battery, also from Seattle. Exactly a year before this album came out, they released their debut album, which had 3 hit songs. Lump. She's lump, she's in my head. She's lump, she might be dead. Peaches. Millions of peaches, peaches for me. Millions of peaches, peaches for free. Millions of peaches, peaches for me. Millions of peaches, peaches for free. Look out! And Kitty. Kitty, I'm a foot and I want to touch it. Kitty, I'm a foot and I want to touch it. Kitty, I'm a foot and I want to touch it. Kitty, I'm a foot and I want to touch it. first album is really tough and expensive, hard to find, and so was this. So I definitely had to get it when I saw it on the Columbia label. Back in the 90s, I worked for NBC and Turner Sports doing NBA playoffs. I lived in Seattle, so I did all the home playoff games. In 1996, which is the year this album came out, the Presidents of the USA did a song called the SuperSonics. It was huge locally as the Sonics were winning all the games in the playoffs. It brings back really cool memories.
So welcome to the game, ladies and gentlemen, shout the name. Seattle SuperSonics, our basketball bionic. And Gary Payton was on, bounce pass on court to Sean, and the crowd sang along. SuperSonics, oh yeah. SuperSonics. Not just the regular team. Take McCullough with it. Deep three over to Shrimp. In the corner, Gary wide open. He delivers. Yes! Gary Payton hits the three. Ay, caramba!
I don't know any of the songs on this album, but I got it to complete the 2-album discography. The Presidents of the United States of America. This would be alternative rock. I also grabbed this Japanese pressing of Press the Eject and Give Me the Tape by Bauhaus. This is a promo copy from 1986. I'm assuming this is the first time it was released in Japan because this album came out in 1982. It's a promo album. You can tell by the symbols right there. And also on the label, the symbols right there. It's their third album, and like I said, it came out in '82. Also has the insert with the songs in Japanese and also the songs in English. This is a great album. It's a live album from their live shows in the flat field. Bela Lugosi's Dead. That's Spy in the Cab, Kick in the Eye, Stigmata Martyr, Dark Entries. Every track on this is really, really good.
I do get bored. I get bored in the flat field. I get bored. I do get bored in the flat field.
I had the cassette in high school, and I remember it said, "Play it loud." And it's so right. When you turn this record up loud, it's better. It's just one of those records that you have to crank, and it's better. I have the UK OG of this, and the 2000, and it was never released in the United States until 2018 for Record Store Day. Bauhaus is my favorite goth new wave band. Love and Rockets is my second favorite, and that's a version of them. It's the band minus the lead singer. So there's Bauhaus, get rid of Peter Murphy, and you have Love and Rockets. I've seen Love and Rockets numerous times. I saw Love and Rockets the first time when Jane's Addiction opened up for Love and Rockets in 1986 in Seattle. That was the first time I've ever heard of Jane's Addiction, and it was a great Love and Rockets set. I saw the reunited Bauhaus probably twice. and I went to Austin and saw Peter Murphy doing the hits of Bauhaus. The Bauhaus reuniting was great, and the Peter Murphy in Austin was equally as great. 12s was next up. They were high on my list as I've been to 12s in the past 6 months. I follow them on Instagram and see the stock that they have rotating. They post lots of really good Spanish, Latin records from Mexico, Peru, Colombia, Cuba. It's kind of a sketch area. There were cops and some homeless people across the street while I was there. But still, last time I was there, I found some really good 7-inch Peruvian chicha cumbia singles, and I was hoping to find some more of them. It's a small place with a few aisles of international, a few aisles of jazz, a few of soul and R&B. The wall had an interesting mix of rarities, and it was small, but it was better than all the other 3 record stores so far combined. Right when I walked in, I saw this and I grabbed it. It is Rodriguez's first album, which came out in 1970. This is the 2008 reissue on Light in the Attic of Cold Fact. I've recently been on a hunt to get his first 2 albums, the OGs, from South Africa and from the United States. If you could help me find these OGs, I'd be forever in your debt. This is psych folk rock. The sticker, the hype sticker says late 60s psych folk masterpiece produced by fuzz guitar god Dennis Coffey and Mike Theodore. I don't know who that is, but I need to look them up. Includes the classic cut Sugarman as featured in the Sundance award-winning documentary Searching for Sugarman. The documentary Searching for Sugarman is all about Rodriguez. You should check him out if you don't know the story. It's a great story. It's a great film. At the end of this video, I'm going to put the 2-minute trailer to Searching for Sugarman. The pressings from Light in the Attic are really good. It comes with an insert. So glad I found this. I just recently watched the documentary, probably 6 months ago, and I've known about it forever. I just never got around to it. They also, Light in the Attic, did the reissue, or they did the soundtrack for Searching for Sugarman as well, which is a 2 LP of the songs from that movie. Rodriguez, Cold Fact.
Won't you bring back all those colors to my dreams? Silver magic ships you carry, jumpers, Coke, sweet Mary Jane. Sugarman met a false friend on a lonely, dusty road.
The last store is Third Eye Records. It's the only store that I took any videos, which you're watching now. It was kind of a dirty store, pretty small. It's the only store, though, that had a specific psych section. I do enjoy a psych section, but there really wasn't much there that I didn't have or that I really wanted. There was some jazz. There was a jazz section and a rock and roll section and soul and metal. It looks like it's actually a good store, but they were wiped clean before I got there on that day. There really was nothing great in the walls. I didn't buy anything. And so after that, that was my last Long Beach record store. The last couple weeks, I've popped into Record Safari a couple times. That's my local store that I go to most often. And I check on the wall and I check at the new revival section and see what they've got. The owner just recently got back from Japan. I've been hoping he was going to be putting more and more Japanese stuff out, but he really hasn't. Maybe he's saving it for Coachella. So on the wall, when I went there last week, I saw this and I had to pick it up. This is Paul McCartney's Band on the Run, and it's the 1984 SuperCut Nimbus pressing. It's a very rare and desirable pressing of this album. It's sealed, but it's almost not sealed, but technically it's still sealed. You can only get this on mail order. The hype sticker says SuperCut, mastered and pressed exclusively for readers of Hi-Fi Today by Nimbus Records. I really want the Nimbus version of Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. It commands super high prices. I mean, they're stupid prices. There are two up on Discogs right now, one for $2,500 and the other for $5,500. I'll probably never get that. Even though this is sealed, I'll either trade it away or I'll open it and play it with my original just to see the difference. And I also grabbed from the wall that same day, probably my favorite Eagles album. This is Desporado. It's also a Nimbus SuperCut. The other one was sealed. This isn't sealed. The label is an Asylum label. I don't know if it says Nimbus. It doesn't say Nimbus, but it says manufactured in the UK. This also came out in 1984, just like the Paul McCartney. The hype sticker is the same. I look forward to playing this. The last thing I grabbed from Record Safari Walls, which was actually last week, was the Sugarcubes, their first LP. This came out in 1988. This is a US pressing. The album's called Life's Too Good. It's on this orange i5 label. This is probably their best album. Well, actually, it is their best album. Bjork would go on to do even better stuff solo by herself. They're considered the best Icelandic rock band or alternative band out there, but I think Sigur Rós is probably not by sales, but Sigur Rós is my favorite Icelandic band. I've seen them probably a dozen times, going on 25 years, and they're great. I like them better than Sugarcubes, but I really like this album, and I like Bjork. This is actually the first album of Sugarcubes that I have. But Sugarcubes, Life's Too Good.
It glided down the sky, she touched it.
That was my vinyl finds. That's my trip to Long Beach and the 5 record stores I went to and the walls of Record Safari. If you could help me find these Rodriguez albums, I would be forever in your debt. South African, the United States, even an Australian pressing. I would really love to get these records. Please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next video. I appreciate you watching. Now, sit back and watch the 2-minute trailer for Searching for Sugarman.
If I had to name 10 artists that I've ever been involved with, Rodriguez would be in the top 5.
Sugarman.
He's my most memorable artist.
Bob Dylan was mild to this guy.
He was this wandering spirit around the city.
When he opened up and sang, you went, whoa, this guy's got it.
For the blue
We expected big things,
won't you
and it did absolutely nothing.
How many records do you think he sold in America?
In America, 6.
Nobody had even heard of him. How can that be? How can that be?
It's a bit of a mystery how the first copy of Cold Fact came to South Africa, but to us, it was one of the most famous records of all time. He was the soundtrack to our lives.
Bigger than Elvis.
Much bigger than Rolling Stones.
Any revolution needs an anthem. The message it had was be anti-establishment. The first opposition to apartheid, they were influenced by Rodriguez.
Nobody knew anything about him. He was a mystery.
Then we found out that he had committed suicide.
The story differs a lot, and a lot of people have different versions of the story.
He set himself alight on stage.
He reached down and pulled up a gun and pulled the trigger. I thought it'd make a good story, find out how Rodriguez died.
So we started looking quite deeply at the lyrics.
And one day, just by accident, I found it. What I thought was the end of story was actually just the beginning, and the best part was still to come.
Said wanted, and have you seen this man? Matter of fact, I have seen him before.
Sounds like something you would make up if you were bragging on some dream or something.
It didn't work out, but don't ever doubt how.
He's like a wise man, a prophet, way beyond just being a musical artist.
He had this kind of magical quality that all genuine poets and artists have. I think he's representative of the human spirit, of what's possible.
This is all too strange to be true. These are the days of miracles and wonder.